Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to kick off today's session on real-world IT. Today, we'll be diving into Active Directory best practices, commands and GPO for enterprise environments. We'll explore key commands and group policy object strategies that can help optimize your IT infrastructure. So, let's get started and see how these best practices can make a real difference in your organization. Let's talk about why admin credentials are such a prime target for breaches. Because once an attacker gains access to these, the impact can be severe. For example, if they manage to steal a domain admin account, it means they can essentially take over the entire domain. This is what we call full domain compromise, and it's a scenario we definitely want to avoid. Now, how can we reduce this risk? One effective approach is to create dedicated admin accounts for specific tasks. For instance, instead of using a shared or personal account, we can create a new admin user with the command newAD username, admin.jsmith, enabled true. This way, we're isolating admin access, which helps limit exposure. Additionally, implementing group policy objects, or GPOs, can add another layer of security. For example, setting policies that deny interactive logon to workstations prevents these admin accounts from logging in directly, further reducing the attack surface. Finally, it's crucial to separate admin accounts from everyday user accounts. This segregation minimizes the chances of attackers moving laterally within your environment if they compromise a non-admin account. So, by adopting these practices, dedicated admin IDs, restrictive GPOs, and account separation, we're strengthening our defenses against potential breaches. Let's start with why this is important. The domain administrator, or DA, controls the entire forest, which makes it a prime target for attackers. That level of control means if someone compromises a DA account, they could potentially access everything within the forest. Now, the impact of that is significant, particularly the risk of credential caching. When credentials are cached, attackers can repeatedly reuse them, making it easier to move laterally across the network without needing to keep stealing new credentials. So, how do we mitigate that risk? One effective method is to add high-privilege accounts, like admin.jsmith, to the protected users group. This group is designed to restrict certain authentication features, reducing the likelihood of credential theft. To do that, I would run a command like add group member, specifying the protected users group and the account I want to add. This helps enforce tighter security for accounts with elevated privileges. Additionally, group policy objects, or GPOs, can enforce Kerberos armoring. This ensures that Kerberos authentication is more secure and resistant to attacks. Finally, protecting domain admins is crucial. By implementing these measures, we significantly reduce the risk of credential theft and unauthorized access at the highest levels of our environment. Remember, safeguarding the DA controls the entire forest, so these steps are vital for maintaining a secure and resilient infrastructure. So, why is this important? Preventing lateral movement within the network is critical. If an attacker gains access to one part of your environment, limiting their ability to move sideways helps contain any potential damage. The impact of implementing these controls is significant. By doing so, we effectively limit the blast radius. This means even if an attacker compromises a lower-tier account, their ability to escalate privileges or access sensitive systems is greatly reduced. Now, how do we achieve this? One effective method is through Tier 0, 1, and 2 separation. Essentially, we segregate administrative privileges based on the level of sensitivity and criticality. For example, using commands like getAD group member, domain admins, helps us identify who has high-level access. And the policy here is straightforward. Admins should log into only their designated tier. This disciplined approach ensures that even administrative activities are contained within their appropriate boundaries, reducing the risk of privilege escalation. Overall, this tiered administration model reinforces our security posture by preventing lateral movement, limiting the blast radius, and maintaining clear boundaries between different levels of access. It's a foundational element to keep our environment secure. Now, let's talk about why this is so important. The reason we focus on DA credentials cached on endpoints is because attackers can exploit these cached credentials to move laterally within our network. This creates a significant risk, especially through techniques like pass the hash, where attackers use hashed credentials to authenticate without needing the actual password. To mitigate this risk, one effective measure is to deny logon locally on these machines. We do this through group policy, navigating to computer configuration, then security, and finally user rights. By configuring this setting, we prevent sensitive accounts, like domain admins, from logging on directly to workstations and servers. This approach applies to both workstations and member servers, helping to restrict the ability of attackers to use cached credentials against critical assets. So, by restricting who can log on locally, especially for high-privilege accounts, we're building a stronger security posture against credential theft and lateral movement. Remember, controlling local logons is a key step in protecting our environment from these kinds of attacks. Let's talk about why password strength really matters. Weak passwords are cracked easily, which means cybercriminals can gain access to your accounts without much effort. The impact of this can be serious. Think account takeovers, data breaches, and loss of sensitive information. So, how do we prevent this? One effective method is implementing a strong password policy through group policy, or GPO. You can set this up by navigating to computer configuration, then to account policies. Now, what should that password policy include? The best practice is to require passwords that are at least 14 characters long or more. Longer passwords are much harder for attackers to crack. To really harden your password policy, make sure to enforce these length requirements and encourage users to create complex, unique passwords. This is a key step in protecting your systems and supporting the overall security strategy. Remember, strong passwords are a simple yet powerful way to defend against unauthorized access and keep your data safe. Let's talk about why implementing an account lockout policy is so important. Essentially, it helps to stop brute force attacks, where an attacker tries many different password combinations to gain access. By locking an account after a set number of failed login attempts, we significantly reduce the risk of credential stuffing attacks, which are increasingly common. Now, how do we set this up? One effective method is through group policy objects, or GPOs. Specifically, we can configure the account lockout policy to automate this process. Using the command netaccounts allows us to view and adjust these settings easily. Of course, while locking accounts enhances security, we also need to be mindful of the potential for denying legitimate users access, what we call a denial of service risk. Striking the right balance is key. We want to protect accounts without causing unnecessary disruptions. So, by carefully configuring the account lockout policy, we reinforce our defenses against brute force attacks while maintaining a smooth user experience. So let's talk about why NTLM is a concern. NTLM, or Windows NT LAN Manager, can actually enable relay attacks. And what does that mean? Well, attackers can intercept and relay NTLM authentication requests, which can lead to unauthorized access. The impact of this is quite serious, primarily credential theft. Once an attacker steals credentials, they can move laterally through the network or access sensitive information. Now, before we jump into fixing this, it's crucial to audit your current environment. A good starting point is running the command auditpol, authentication. This helps you see how NTLM authentication is configured in your system. From there, you want to look at your group policy settings. Specifically, navigate to Network Security and choose Restrict NTLM. Enabling the Restrict NTLM authentication setting is a vital step in reducing the risk of relay attacks. By doing so, you're limiting how NTLM is used within your network, which significantly enhances your security posture. In summary, understanding the risks associated with NTLM and actively restricting its use through proper auditing and policy configuration are key measures in protecting your network from credential theft and related attacks. All right, let's talk about why SMBV1 is a vulnerability. It's often exploited by ransomware attackers because it's an outdated protocol with known security flaws. When attackers leverage SMBV1, they can move laterally across the network, spreading malware from one machine to another very quickly. So, to mitigate this risk, one effective step is to disable the SMBV1 feature on Windows. You can do this easily with a PowerShell command. Disable Windows optional feature online, feature name, SMB1 protocol. Additionally, if you're managing a group policy environment, there's a setting under Landman Workstation called Disable SMBV1. Activating this setting helps ensure SMBV1 is turned off across multiple devices, reducing the attack surface. Overall, disabling SMBV1 is a crucial part of protecting your network from lateral malware spread, especially in today's threat landscape. Let's talk about why this is so important. Preventing man-in-the-middle, or MITM, attacks is crucial because these attacks can intercept and manipulate sensitive directory queries. If an attacker can do that, they could potentially access or alter critical data. The impact of enforcing LDAP signing is significant. It helps protect these directory queries from being tampered with, ensuring the integrity and confidentiality of the data exchanged. So, how do we implement this? The key is to enforce LDAP signing. This is done through a straightforward process, navigating to computer configuration, then security options. Once there, you'll find the setting for LDAP server signing requirements. Enabling this ensures that LDAP communications are signed, adding a layer of security against those MITM attacks. And for even stronger protection, consider using Secure LDAP or LDAPS. This encrypts the LDAP traffic, making it even more difficult for attackers to intercept or tamper with the data. By enforcing LDAP signing and utilizing LDAPS, we reinforce our defenses and ensure that our directory services remain secure and trustworthy. Let's talk about why privilege creep is so common in many organizations. Essentially, over time, users tend to accumulate access rights that they no longer need, which can lead to a significant risk. When someone has excess access, it increases the chances of accidental or malicious actions that could compromise our systems. The impact of this is serious. Excess access can open doors for security breaches and make it harder to enforce the principle of least privilege. That's why it's crucial to regularly review who has access to privileged groups. One effective way to do this is by reviewing memberships. For example, you can run a command like getAD group member domain admins to see who's currently in that highly privileged group. And it's not just a one-time task. Scheduling monthly reviews ensures we stay on top of any changes and maintain a strong security posture. So, always remember to audit privileged groups regularly. It's a key step in managing access responsibly and reducing security risks across our environment. Let's talk about why service accounts are often a security concern. They tend to be overprivileged, meaning they have more access than they actually need. This overprivilege can lead to significant issues if those accounts are compromised. One major impact of this is lateral movement within your network, where an attacker can use these accounts to move across systems and escalate their access. To mitigate this risk, a good practice is to use GMSA, or Group Managed Service Accounts. These accounts are more secure because they are managed centrally and automatically, reducing the chances of misconfiguration. You can create a GMSA using the command newAD service account, which simplifies the process. It's also important to avoid relying on traditional password-based service accounts, as they can be easier for attackers to compromise. Overall, hardening your service accounts is a critical step in strengthening your security posture and preventing unauthorized lateral movement. Let's talk about why visibility into changes is so critical. When we have clear insights into what's happening within our environment, we can identify issues more quickly and accurately. This increased visibility directly impacts our ability to conduct faster investigations, saving us valuable time and resources. Now, how do we achieve this? One effective way is through the use of advanced audit policy and group policy objects, or GPOs. By configuring these policies, we can fine-tune what activities are logged, giving us the detailed information we need. For example, using the command auditpol get * allows us to review current audit settings across all categories. This command is a handy tool to verify our configurations and ensure we're capturing the right data. Specifically, focusing on auditing directory service access and logon activities provides us with vital insights into who is accessing what and when. To implement this, we need to enable advanced Active Directory auditing. Doing so will enhance our ability to monitor and respond to potential security events more effectively. In summary, by enabling and customizing these audit policies, we're empowering ourselves with the visibility necessary to respond swiftly and confidently to any changes or threats that may arise. Now, let's talk about why replication issues can really cause problems with authentication. When replication breaks down, it can lead to logon failures, making it difficult for users to access resources. To troubleshoot this, you can use the repadmin command. Specifically, running repadmin gives you a quick overview of the replication health across your domain controllers. If you notice any errors, it's crucial to fix them immediately to restore proper functionality. Continuously monitoring replication health is key to maintaining a secure and reliable environment. Keeping an eye on these issues helps prevent disruptions and keeps your authentication processes running smoothly. Let's talk about why overdelegation can be problematic. When delegation is abused, it can lead to serious security issues. One of the biggest risks is unauthorized changes. People might modify settings or data they shouldn't have access to, which can compromise the entire system. So, how do we prevent this? The key is to follow the principle of least privilege delegation. This means giving users only the permissions they absolutely need to do their jobs and nothing more. It's a simple concept, but incredibly effective in maintaining control. To make this process easier and more reliable, we recommend using tools like the AD Delegation Wizard. This tool helps you delegate permissions securely and accurately, reducing the chance of mistakes. Additionally, it's crucial to document all your delegations. Keeping a clear record ensures accountability and makes it easier to review permissions regularly. Remember, the goal is to delegate permissions safely, balancing operational needs with security. By doing so, we maintain a strong security posture while empowering our team to work efficiently. Why is Active Directory so critical? Well, because it's the backbone of many of our network services and user authentications. Losing AD means losing access to a lot of essential resources, and that can bring our entire business to a halt. The impact of a total outage is significant. If AD goes down and isn't recovered quickly, it can affect everything from login capabilities to access control, and that's not something we want to experience. So, how do we protect ourselves? One of the most effective methods is performing system state backups regularly. This way, we can restore AD without losing all our configurations and data. To do that, we use the command wbadmin start system state backup. It's straightforward but powerful, making sure we have a reliable backup to fall back on when needed. And don't forget, testing restores periodically is just as important as creating backups. This ensures that when the time comes, our backups are valid and can be relied upon. Lastly, always remember to back up Active Directory itself. This is a critical step in safeguarding our identities and permissions, keeping our business resilient against potential disruptions. Now, let's talk about why security tends to drift over time. As systems evolve, changes happen, sometimes intentionally, sometimes unintentionally. That can weaken our security posture. This gradual shift can lead to increased risks without us even realizing it. The impact of this drift is that our security vulnerabilities slowly grow, making us more susceptible to potential threats. So, how do we prevent this? One effective way is by conducting quarterly reviews. Regular check-ins allow us to catch any deviations early on. A useful command I recommend is gpresult add GPO, HTML, which helps us generate a report of our group policy settings. This way, we can track baseline configurations and spot any deviations that might have crept in. Ultimately, the key is continuous review and improvement. By staying vigilant and consistently comparing our current state to our baseline, we can ensure our security remains strong and up to date. Remember, security isn't a one-time setup. It's an ongoing process.